This is a chat I wanted to do for the first time. It's called Unplug, connecting with other people in a world of complexity. So I've studied some videos into this, and we're going to be using, we're going to practice and get together with a partner, do some exercises at the end, but I want to kind of make a case first for the great things about technology that technology brings us and some of the pitfalls. So we're going to kind of do that. So move forward. Let's watch a video.
A simple thought. Monkeys, that are known to have a developed social life, organize in small groups of several dozen members. The size of each of these groups is limited. In order for them to function, all members of the group need to know each other well. The average size of the group changes from 20 to 50 members. When the number of monkeys in a group passes a certain threshold, the social order crumbles, and the group tends to split into two separate groups. A similar situation can be found amongst humans as well. The invention of language and gossip has helped us shape larger and more stable groups. Sociological research indicates that the maximum natural size of a group of humans is roughly 150 members. Most humans are just incapable of intimately knowing more than 150 people, so even today, the threshold of human organization is around the number of 150 members. Man is a social creature, and the feeling of loneliness can drive him mad. Yet the Western and modern world sanctions individuality. The individual is measured by personal achievements, such as having a career, wealth, a self-image, and consumerism. In this course of action, many people lose their social and familial connections in favor of a self-actualization ideal. As the social fabric in the Western world weakens, it is not surprising that more and more people define themselves as lonely, and thus, loneliness has become the most common ailment of the modern world. One of the possible reasons for this ailment is the online social network. In a world where time is money, in which our surroundings heavily pressure us to achieve more and more, our social life becomes tainted and more demanding than ever before. And then there's technology. Simpler, hopeful, optimistic, ever young. We become addicted to virtual romance, disguised by the social network which supplies an impressive platform that allows us to manage our social life most effectively. However, our fantasies about substitutions are starting to take a toll. We're collecting friends like stamps, not distincting quantity versus quality, and converting the deep meaning and intimacy of friendship with exchanging photos and chat conversations. By doing so, we're sacrificing conversation for mere connection, and so a paradoxical situation is created, in which we claim to have many friends while actually being lonely. So what is the problem in having a conversation? Well, it takes place in real time, and you can't control what you're going to say. And that is the bottom line. Texting, email, posting, all of these things let us present the self as we want it to be. We get to edit, and that means we get to delete. Instead of building true friendships, we're obsessed with endless personal promotion, investing hours on end building our profile, pursuing the optimal order of words in our next message, choosing the pictures in which we look our best, all of which is meant to serve as a desirable image of who we are. We're expecting more from technology and less from each other. The social networks aren't just changing what we're doing, but also who we are. And that's because technology appeals to us most where we are most vulnerable. And we are vulnerable. We are lonely, or we're afraid of intimacy, while the social networks offer us three gratifying fantasies. One, that we can put our attention wherever we want it to be. Two, that we will always be heard. And three, that we will never have to be alone. And that third idea, that we will never have to be alone, is central to changing our psyches. It's shaping a new way of being. The best way to describe it is, I share, therefore, I am. We use technology to define ourselves by sharing our thoughts and feelings, even as we're having them. Furthermore, we're faking experiences so we'll have something to share, so we can feel alive. We slip into thinking that always being connected is going to make us feel less alone, but we are at risk because the opposite is true. If we are not able to be alone, we're only going to know how to be lonely.
Thought-provoking? Yeah. Technology is a great thing. I am not against technology. I use technology all the time, every day. But I'm hoping to make the case that there is a limit to that, and that there's a much better path to connecting with people, perhaps even without a device. So I read a book, which is really good. I read a book. But I did read a book that I found useful, and it's called Alone Together by Sherry Turkle. She's an MIT researcher, and she studied tech trends over the last couple decades. Her subtitle is good, Why We Expect More from Technology and Less from Each Other. And the first half of the book is all about robots, really, and the fact that there's a growing trend, especially among the young, that, it started with the Tamagotchi little devices, the little robots you took care of. Oh, my Tamagotchi, wake it up, It started with that, and then it has now progressed to very, very advanced robots. And anyway, that's an entirely different talk. But by and large, there's a huge movement towards, if humans can let you down, and humans can upset you, and humans can, hack you off. But the fact is, robots don't. And anyway, that's the first half of the book. The second half of the book is all about stuff that you guys could probably relate more to, is like the use of phones all the time. And some of the great things about that and some of the tough things about that. So, people are connected, but a lot of people feel lonely. I think that's pretty prevalent, which is really weird because I'm more connected. I got all these friends, but they don't feel like friends, and sometimes loneliness can set in. The song that you walked into, and when we break at the end, I'm playing, is a song by The Who, an old band from the 70s. You recognize. In fact, we're playing one of their songs tonight at the Freddy's as I come in. Baba O'Reilly. But they wrote a bad song called How Many Friends? But the words are so dead on to what I'm talking about. This is this chorus. It says, how many friends have I really got? Well, you can count them on the one hand. That love me, that want me, that'll take me as I am. If you look at some of the stats that are shared in the book, Alone Together, a lot of young people will almost compete for friends, the number of friends they have on Facebook. And some of you are like, oh, I got it. But a lot of young people will look at the number of friends that they've got virtually online and have that be some kind of measure of how important they are or how connected they are. The fact is, the most popular high school students have about, on an average, 1,200 to 1,500 friends on Facebook. And they asked some of the most, quote, popular students that had the most friends on Facebook, how many, if you had someone of those 1,500 people call you, how many of those, if you saw their name come up on your screen, would you actually answer their phone? And the student said, the guy was like 1,500 friends. He said 20, maybe. And then they asked him, wow, that's really revealing. And how many, if you were in deep trouble and needed a friend, how many could you count on to be there for you? And the kid said, one. One hand. So I'm all for having Facebook friends. I've got over 2,000 online. Woo, I'm winning, yay. But the fact is, most of the friends I got on Facebook are because of work, because I'm connected to you that way. I love Facebook because it has actual friends. And then how you get to that tier, that's important. But anyway, this is just food for thought. I want you to think about this. How many friends do you really have? There's a lot of clutter out there. Look at all the requests. If you asked average Americans what they're watching, if you think about YouTube, the answer is likely to be everything. Here's some stats on YouTube. 100 hours of videos uploaded to a website every hour onto YouTube. 6 billion hours of video is viewed each month. 6 billion. That's an hour for every person on earth, almost. What are you watching today? I mean, are you just numbly in step with much of the world, and are you just filling your head with mindless entertainment? I mean, I'm constantly on my youngest. I look over at her, and she'll just be laughing and just looking at her phone. I'm like, and I'm not opposed to that, but I'm just like, if it's too much, if it's beyond the pale, I'm like, you need to turn that off. Let's be together, whatever. So anyway, she's not in the room, so I can talk about her. More stats. Facebook, 1.26 billion users. The average person your age has 500 friends. So now you can measure yourself. Am I average? Am I above average? I'm behind. Oh, no. Don't worry about it. The average person logs in once a day worldwide, and there are 2 billion posts a day. 2 billion.
But that's not what being single is.
I now have comedian Aziz Ansari. You guys know him from Parks and Rec? He's talking about the prevalence of texting. Is texting a bad thing? No. Texting is a good thing. But when texting has its downside.
But that's not what being single is anymore now. Like, this is what being single is now. Like, hey, it was great meeting you. We should get together sometime. Yeah, that'd be great. Be in touch. All right, cool. Bye. Hey, what's up? Should we grab a drink tonight? Yeah, I'm with some friends in this neighborhood. Oh, cool. We'll be down there soon. Can't wait to see you. All right, cool. Bye. Hey, what's up? We're almost there. We just left. Why? Why did you just leave? So rude. You knew I was on the way. Maybe we can get a drink tomorrow. Tomorrow's perfect. Text them now and make a plan. All right, cool. Bye. Hey, what's up? Should we grab those drinks tonight? Oh, drank way too much last night. Gonna stay in today. That's not what was discussed yesterday. You need a transcript of our conversation? Scroll up on your phone. Maybe we can meet up on Tuesday. Tuesday's perfect. Text them now and make a plan. All right, cool. Bye. Hey, what's up? It's Tuesday. Should we get together today? And that's what being single is now. All that garbage. That's what it's become. It's pretty much now a lot of times like you're a secretary for this really shoddy organization scheduling the dumbest shit with the flakiest people ever.
Okay. So I would contend, I was reading this book. I'm going to go a little bit deeper now, talking about purpose and life and just being awash with stuff. This is from Richard Foster's book, Celebration of Discipline, The Path to Spiritual Growth. He said this quote, which I thought was really good. Because we lack a divine center, did you catch that? Because we lack a divine center, our need for security has led us to an insane attachment to things. Would you agree with that? At least in America? Yes. We really must understand that the lust for affluence in contemporary society is psychotic. It's psychotic because it's completely lost touch with reality. We crave things we neither need nor enjoy. We buy things we don't want to impress people we don't like. We're made to feel ashamed to wear clothes or drive cars until they're worn out. The mass media have convinced us that to be out of step with fashion is to be out of step with reality. It's time to awaken to the fact that conformity to a sick society is to be sick. So we're always on. I pulled a couple quotes from the book Alone Together in trying to build this case that always on is not always good, that you might be able to I just want you to think. Digital life cheats people out of passively being yourself because you're always on. Do you ever feel that way? I have a niece that was having issues, emotional issues, and she literally had to turn off her Facebook because every time she made a post, if she didn't get likes, what happened to her self-esteem? I mean, yeah, and that's just lunacy. But that she was in a fragile place, so that was difficult for her to even have Facebook. She didn't want to make posts because anyway. Here's another one. Digital life cheats people out of learning how to read a person's face and their nuances of feeling. In a few minutes, we're going to break up into pairs, and I'm going to give you some real quick little exercises you can do to help you focus and tune in on somebody. How to be a better PCer, you might say, how to listen better, and how to read people just a little bit better. But when you're always like this, even when you're with people, that's an issue. And I'm not saying throw away your phone, we don't need technology. I just want you to be aware, because awareness is half the battle. We need to be real with people. We need to be authentic. So let's think about that for a minute. Think about this. Who am I when I'm not posing? Do you know how much time we spend posing? Myself included? How do we look? How am I coming across? It's craziness. Do you ever get to be you? You know, when you're texting, do you have to think, okay, what's a clever way to say this? Okay, there it is. Yeah, I mean, you're always on. You're like, and then when you get that, you're like, oh, now I've got to respond. But I mean, it's just there's pressure, when you're with people and you're you, there's some freedom in that. When am I not trying? The question is, can I be with myself? You know, some of us probably can't be with ourselves easily. You're not used to that. Are you guys familiar with Louis C.K., the stand-up comedian? Okay, he was on Conan. I get most of my learning is from Conan, but he is on talking about just the notion of being with yourself. So let's see what he has to say.
You know, I think these things are toxic. I don't think especially for kids. It's just this thing. It's bad, and they don't look at people when they talk to them, and they don't build the empathy. You know, kids are mean, and it's because they're trying it out. They look at a kid and they go, "You're fat." And then they see the kid's face scrunch up and they go, "Ooh, that doesn't feel good to make a person do that." Right. But they got to start with doing the mean thing. But when they write "you're fat," then they just go, that was fun. I like that. So
that tasted good.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, you need to build an ability to just be yourself and not be doing something. That's what the phones are taking away.
Yes.
Is the ability to just sit there like this. That's being a person, right?
Yes.
No one can, you gotta check. Because, you know, underneath everything in your life, there's that thing, that empty, forever empty. You know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
I know what you're talking about.
That knowledge that it's all for nothing and you're alone. You know, it's down there. And sometimes when things clear away, you're not watching it, you're in your car, and you start going, "Oh, no, here it comes, that I am alone." Like it starts to visit on you. You know, just the sadness.
Yes.
Life is tremendously sad just by, being in it. And so you're driving, and then you go, that's why we text and drive. I look around, pretty much 100% of people driving are texting.
Yes.
And they're killing, everybody's murdering each other with their cars.
Yes.
But people are willing to risk taking a life and ruining their own because they don't want to be alone for a second.
So let me give you a couple thoughts. It's okay to be off. Here's my first idea. You're like, I want some takeaways. Have a screen fast. Do you know what that is? Do you know what fasting is, first of all? When you're like, okay, I'm going to fast. That means you're going to give up something for a period of time, right? So you sometimes fast. The most normal fast is from food, if you've done a fast. But a screen fast is fasting and taking a break from this, or your iPad, or just devices. I know, and it's really weird if you've done this, or if you've ever lost your phone for a day, you know, that kind of, oh my gosh, that feeling. Well, it's okay. So I know families who have taken fasts as a family from television, and it's freeing, you know. It's really amazing. At first it's really awkward and kind of, what do we do? But I think there's a certain amount of cleansing that can happen from technology. It's okay to be alone. So I want you to think about, I'm going to give you deep thoughts for about 2 slides, and then we're going to practice some stuff together. So I want you to these are good questions to think about. What's most important to me now in my life? What's most important to me? Second, what do I value most right now? You need to get clarity on that. Because if you're just kind of hurtling through space, just sort of listening to music and hanging out and just, yeah, whatever, just constant, you're not thinking about deep stuff, and this is good. Who or what can I not live without? Most of you probably never even thought about that, but that's important. What good things have I made ultimate things? In the Bible, those are called idols. What good thing have I made an ultimate thing? It could be a relationship. It could be a person. It could be your iPad, I suppose, which would be odd. Next question, can I be still? For any period of time, can I be still? In the Bible, God is speaking. In one part, he says, be still and know that I'm God. And that's a kind of a rough translation. Originally, it meant more like, shut up and know that I'm God. And that was before all the technology stuff. How do I do with quiet? How do I do with quiet? I didn't do well with quiet. When I was your age, I had to constantly, I was in a band, I loved music, and I literally We didn't have really cool little earbuds you could just slip in your ear and, you know, sit there with your phone and listen to stuff all the time. You know, I literally on weekends can remember packing my entire stereo system. And it wasn't just like a little, hey, look, here's a little, you know, box and a little wireless, and here's my phone, I can play music. It was like giant speakers, big Pioneer 80-pounders. I'd be loaded into my car, just like, you know, and guys in my fraternity are like, what are you doing? I'm like, are you moving out? Nope, I'm going home for the weekend. Can't be without my music. You know, how many of you, when you get in the car, you instantly just like go to what? It's just on, you know? And there's nothing evil about that. I'm not trying to make a case for that. I'm just, we are constantly, a lot of times because we lack a divine center, we've got just stuff going all the time. So how do you do with quiet? Quiet is good. So this is the deepest thought. Some of you are like, I don't even know why I'm here. Well, here are a couple places you can go. One is Rick Warren has written a great book called The Purpose-Driven Life. The first, who's read that? A few of you? The first sentence of the first chapter says, you open the book, it goes, it's not about you. And you're like, whoa, that's offensive. I thought it was about me. No, you're not put on this earth to be about you. It's really hard to get over. Kevin McCarthy wrote a good book called The Unpurposed Person. YouTube, Rick Warren has a great video clip called A Life of Purpose. So if you're kind of like, okay, yeah, wow, I really do. I'm surrounded by stuff, and I'm all about Facebook, and I've cluttered my life. How can I cleanse myself? These are some good places to start to get a center and a foundation. So where we're going to go for the last few minutes, I was thinking about trains. If you've ever seen a train crossing, when I was a little kid, they had 3 words when you go to a railroad track, and that was stop, look, and listen. And that's what I want to adapt for us when we're dealing with people, so that we're present with people. So how can we connect better? This is the softball team my daughter's on. Some of you met Katie out in the hallway. And when we finished a tournament, we went to Starbucks together. And I turned around, they said, oh, you girls all sit together. So they were sitting over there. And I turned around, and that's what I saw. One of them looked at me, because she noticed there was a flash. But all of them are where? On their phones. They're together and not at the same time. And this is totally normal. Some of you are like, what's wrong with that picture? It looks pretty. I think that's an issue. So I said, you know what? We're going to do a phone stack. What's a phone stack? That's the bottom picture. We just stack their phones. You know what we do as a family now? When we go to a restaurant? Phone stack. Right in the middle. Just for a few minutes to not check who's texted you. You know? We just put it in the middle. It's a tiny little thing. You might try that. So, ideas on how to connect better. Take time for you first. I'm thinking about Sunday meetings and PCs. Take time for you. Second, face-to-face. Think personal conference. When you're with somebody, think, this is kind of like a PC. How can I be present for them? How can I listen without judgment? Before I go to a Sunday meeting, you know what I do? And I go to usually 6 every summer and do tons of PCs and help with the meeting and everything. But I get alone without music, take out the earbuds, and get focused. And I pray, and I ask God to help me listen without judgment so I can help people. If you've ever done a good PC, you've probably just listened. You haven't said great, wise things. Somebody just felt heard. That's a big deal. Phone stacking, we talked about that. Be where you are. We talk about that. We'll talk about that more in sales school. Okay, so some strategies we're going to practice. I can't teach you how to care. There's no such seminar as caring. So that is back to what we talked about a minute ago. What's your foundation? So try to care. I don't think I did very well when I was 20. I was mostly me, about me. Oh, me? You want to talk about me? But enough about me. Let's talk about me. That was me. Clear the deck mentally before you sit down with somebody, before you have a conversation. Just clear your mind. Listen without judgment. Here's some technique-y things you can do. 1, when I have you pair up with somebody in just a minute, I want you to notice their eye color. Okay? That'll help you tune in. 2nd, when you meet someone new for the first time, repeat their name in the first sentence you speak. That'll help you remember their name and help you focus on them. Okay? Now, how many of you have ever been with somebody and you started just mentally to drift? Like 50% of you now are kind of like, yeah, this is really, this is great stuff. Okay. So here's 3 things you can do to avoid mental drifting. One, narrow your visual focus. In other words, tune in. I would look at their left eye if you want something real specific. Your left eye is connected to your right brain, which is the relationship part of your brain. So some of you have monkey brains because your mind is everywhere. And so you have a hard time just talking to somebody because you're like too wired to everything that's going on. So just look at somebody's left eye. That'll help you. Second, as you're talking with somebody, paraphrase what they say. Paraphrase what they say. If you paraphrase what they've said to you, they will feel heard. You will be forced to listen. And third, ask a couple questions, 1 or 2 questions as you converse, just for clarification. All right? So get with a partner. Maybe somebody you don't know. You can stand up if you want. I don't care. These are going to be super fast exercises, so you're going to have to really get going. Find somebody. I want you to practice these 3 things in about a 90-second conversation. Okay? Narrow your focus. Paraphrase 2 questions. Go. Time in. Thank you. All right, welcome back. Shh. Welcome back. Stay where you are. Stay where you are. Shh. We're going to keep practicing a couple other exercises. How many of you found that awkward a little bit? Or how many of you felt natural? It kind of worked. Because that's what you guys are not the typical college students, so well done. But those are 3 things you can do to really tune in. Let's do another one that'll help us appreciating the speaker, helping them feel heard. Okay, here's something you can do with your partner. I want you to do real quick. This is about tuning in still. All right, this time I want you to have a conversation. We'll do it about a minute long. And what I want you to do is maybe person A shares a thought, and before person B says anything, just thank them. Say thank you. And then you respond. And after they respond, person A says thank you. And then they share. So it's going to be kind of weird, but I want you to practice thank you in between each statement. Go ahead. 1 minute. Converse. Good job. Welcome back. How many of you found that exercise weird? All right. This is an exercise. All of these you can practice with your teammates and the new recruits that you have because they are not as advanced as you got. You guys are used to thousands of interactions and reading Mrs. Jones and tuning into her deal. And you've watched first years that are out there the first couple of weeks who are just mindless droids going through their talks, sort of, and you're just like, oh no, did you notice she left the room? And they're just like, rah, 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 rah. So this is to help you tune in, connect, be appreciative. Let's do a variation on that same exercise. Here's your new assignment. Have a conversation, talk about anything, but this time instead of saying thank you in between each response, I want you to do, you can either do some sort of gesture or sound, or you can, however, express thanks without saying the word thank you, but appreciate them. Go. Take a minute. Back. Good job. How many of you, how many of you, that was, it's okay. How many of you that was more comfortable rather than just saying thank you after each sound, okay? That was more normal, right? That feel a little bit better, okay? Did it feel like you were connecting a little bit, or was it, I'm taking something most of you subconsciously do and making you conscious of it, which makes it really weird, but did that feel a little bit better than the last one? Okay, let's do one more on this. This time I want you to have a conversation, talk about anything, the weather, school, your major, I don't care, but instead of thank you, or the spirit of thank you, I want you to use nonverbals totally to thank and appreciate what they've shared. Okay, total nonverbals, okay? So it can be any body language. I'm just going to watch what you guys do. Take a minute. Go for it. Nonverbals. Thank you. Good. Thank you. So what did you guys, question, what did you guys use? Give me what you used to convey non-verbally that spirit of thank you. So you're some high fives, nods, smiling. What else? A thumbs up. Great comment. Okay, yeah. There was some of you, how many of you use touch? Touch is really powerful. Okay? Now, obviously, context is important, and you would never, after every statement, yes, you know. So, all I want you to do is be aware that there are different ways to tune in. Let me give you one more, and then we'll wrap up. I want you this time, we're going to do an exercise where you discover what their preferred system is. In sales school, the first thing we did, as you recall, was we helped people determine what their preferred learning system was, how they like to take in information. There was like a 2-page thing here, just physical, auditory, visual. Well, there's a way without somebody just filling out questionnaires for you. Could you fill this out for me before we talk? You can actually talk to them and determine, are they visual people primarily? Are they auditory and relate to the world through sound? Or are they physical, like touch oriented? So I'm going to give you how to do that, and that'll help you tune in even better to people, all right? Ask a partner, when you're with your partner in the next couple minutes, and I give you your assignment, I want you to ask them questions that they have to think about for a second before they answer them. I'll give you some questions, and when I say go, you can use these. Name something you like, what's something you've learned. Great ways to ask people to spell a word, which isn't a normal part of conversation, but you'll determine quickly what they are. How'd you pick your major? And watch people's eyes. That's the key. Watch people's eyes. If they look up, they're primarily visual, and they relate to the world through sight. Okay? If they look to the side, like you see one of the pictures there on the screen, side to side, those people are relating to the world through sound. And so they'll recall conversations and relationships mostly through sound. And if they're physical, they'll look like the young lady with the red hat on there, usually down and to the right. That's somebody who's checking their feelings. Okay? So if you have a conversation with somebody, what I want you to do, your assignment is in about 2 minutes. I want you to ask questions that force your friend in the conversation to think a little bit, and you watch where their eyes go, and then we'll talk about that. Let me give you 2 minutes. Go for it. Watch their eyes. Have a seat. Have a seat. Shh. That's good. Shh. Have a seat. So what's the takeaway from this? Let me give you a couple ideas. Half of the battle is just tuning into the person that you're trying to be present with. And one thing that helps me is to look at their eyes, look at the eye color, and then notice what they do with their eyes. If they spend a lot of time looking up when you ask a question, if you're sitting down with a first-year dealer that you're trying to help join your team, and you ask them a question like, well, how'd you pick your major? How'd you pick this university? And they kind of look up and say, well, they're seeing pictures in their head. See? And so you can phrase and you can appeal to them more with visual than not. So you might have a great photo album, or your Facebook is full of pictures. That will appeal to people. When you talk to a visual person, you can say, can you see what I mean? How does this look to you? See, those are visual words. And you're just going to their world and relating to them. Does that make sense? If they're auditory, they're relating to the world through sound. So if I see somebody that is a lot of side to side with their eyes when I ask questions, then I know that they're going to be in the world of sound. So I'm going to try to appeal to them with sound. How does that sound to you so far? Does that ring a bell? Does this program resonate with you so far? Those are all auditory words, and that helps people connect with you. Does that make sense? I don't want to be too weird. If physical, if you see somebody that's more down and to the right, spend a lot of time in their feeling mode, then appeal to them through feeling. They're like, well, I just don't know if I could do this summer. Well, let's think of a time that you were really afraid of something that worked out. And let's talk about soccer. You're a soccer person. Well, how nervous were you before the match started? Oh, I was just about ready to throw up. How did that feel? It felt horrible. Then what happened? Well, once the game started, everything was great and those went away. So you remember the feeling of what it was like before the big soccer tournament? Yes. That's exactly how it feels on the book field. You're like, oh yeah, I know that feeling. So feeling people will relate to that type of thing. And you can use words like touch, like can you get a grasp on what I'm saying? Can you get a handle on what I'm talking about? How does the program feel to you so far? You with me? So these are things that you can do. They're little technique-y things, but I don't want you to get carried away with technique, but I do want you to know that if you can teach fellow student managers and first years just some simple things they can do to tune in, hear better, be present, respond, with their face and their body language appropriately, they will connect, and when you're connected, good things happen. Yeah? Okay, so here's what we did today. First part, technology. Please don't hear me that I think all technology is evil and we should all go throw our devices in a lake. No, that's not the point. But the point is you can take a break from it. You can be alone. And you need to be alone sometimes. It's very freeing, okay? I want to wrap with a video and finish this part with a video that I showed at the October meeting. It's called I Forgot My Phone. It's had a ton of hits on YouTube. But I think this sort of sums up the notion that we've talked about today and our crazy addiction to devices. Let's watch.
Driving with a box stuck under his car. And like, who knows how long he was driving. I saw him pull out of the parking lot and turn right, and the box was still stuck under his car. So who knows how long he was driving with that box under his car. I bet he got home, he pulled into his driveway.
Out in the sky. I'm not. Wow. You're like, it's not.
I don't think it's real. I don't think it's
maybe
real.
there's I see the lineup for car. It's getting wasted. The Empire State Building is really close to it, so it's a good.
And I did best with what was in my hands.
We're done. Think. Unplug. Good luck.